Y'all do cancer patients dirty. Let's talk about some things that I learned while I supported someone who I love through their cancer journey. What's up, everybody? It's your favorite Reverend Healer. It's your favorite hoodoo Reverend Lady Speech in the place to be, and I want to welcome you back to my channel. You could be anywhere in the world. As a matter of fact, you are somewhere in the world, and you're also choosing to share a little bit of time and space with me. So thank you for that. If you like what I'm doing, if you like what you see, if you're feeling any of this, if you're feeling any of me, go ahead and hit that like button, baby. Hit that subscribe button, darling, and hit that notifications bell so you can keep up with everything I'm putting down over here. Now, let's get into today's video, because I got a whole lot of things to say. Shall we? A little over 1 year ago, I got a phone call that shifted everything in my life. A little over a year ago, my favorite person in the world, the person who knows me better than most, the person who I look up to with so much admiration and awe, my cousin, who is more like my sister than my cousin, one of the closest family members, the closest family member that I have. She was diagnosed with cancer, and she called me a little over a year ago to tell me that news. When she told me that news, I immediately knew that I would move hell and high water to support her in any and every way that she needed. And I began to shift my life, as well as the universe began to shift my life, to create the opportunity for me to come out here and support her. So 8 months, as of 8 months ago from the filming of this video, July 2024, I packed up all of my things in Ohio. I packed up my entire life. I put it into storage, and I put a few bags in my car, and I drove all of the way to Denver, Colorado to support my cousin as she walked her way on her journey with cancer. This last year has been a lot, but this last 8 months has been a whole lot. A whole lot. First and foremost, I want to acknowledge the warrior that my cousin is. I want to acknowledge that it has been an honor and a privilege to be able to support her as she walked this journey. This is one of the strongest people I know, and I have always looked up to her. This is my older cousin. This is a cousin who is about 2.5, almost 3 years older than me, and a lot of my early memories include her in early childhood. She has been a rock for me throughout my entire life. So yeah, this is watching her, witnessing her, being able to have the privilege, being able to have the honor, being able to have the lifestyle in which I could show up for her and support her, has meant the absolute world to me. I've learned a lot in these last 8 months, and I'm going to talk about it. But before we do all of that, as of right now, my cousin is officially cancer-free, y'all. I am absolutely delighted to share that news. I have known for a little bit. This is a recent diagnosis, but this is something that I've had to really sit with for a while. I've shared it on the low with a few people who were active in my community, supporting me and supporting her through supporting me. But it is now time, especially because my time in Colorado, I'm being out loud about the fact that it has come to an end. It is time for me to share the fact that it is also, my cousin is cancer free. So I'm thankful that I was able to support her and be here for her. Her journey is still arduous. There is still quite a walk that you have to have after you deal with cancer. So she still has to do a lot of healing, and she's not out of the clear exactly yet. But with cancer itself, the diagnosis is that she is cancer free. And now that you know that, let's talk about some things that I learned and observed and was told and got to see when it comes to supporting someone and caring for someone who has cancer. Before we get into this first piece, I do want to say thank you to every single one of you who have held space for me. There are so many of my subscribers here on YouTube, my followers on TikTok, people on Facebook, all across my platforms who knew what was going on and absolutely showed up for me and showed out. The way that y'all prayed for me and my cousin, the way that you showed up for her, the support that you extended, I am forever grateful. Thank you for all of your graciousness as I was navigating this last year. There's a lot of things that I did accomplish, but there was also a lot of balls that got dropped by me. And this is because my main attention was for my cousin. So I just want to express my gratitude, my eternal gratitude for all of your support for her and for me. And I was constantly communicating the fact that folks were praying for her, folks were rooting for her. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Speaking of support, I'm thankful for the people who held me down from beginning to end, because y'all's support was unwavering. But this leads me to the first thing that I have observed about caring for someone with cancer, that so many of y'all are there in the beginning and not there in the end. And what I am talking about are things that I observed happening in and around my cousin. And these are also things that people with cancer reached out to me throughout this journey and were sharing the fact that me showing up for her was healing for them because they had nobody showing up for them. So that brings me to the first thing, is that there are so many people when you first announce that you have a cancer diagnosis that they show up. They feel sorry for you. They've got bleeding hearts. They're here for you. If you need anything, I'm here. If you need anything, I'm here. Let me know. Let me know. I'm here for you. I'll be there for you. But slowly but surely, you start to see people fall off. And there is a lot of reasons why. A lot of those are very legitimate reasons, and also a lot of those are very superficial reasons. A lot of those are reasons that have to do with the fact that people do not do their healing work and do not know how to confront heavier topics. A lot of them deal with a lot of things, but there is a whole lot of people who promise to be there in the beginning, and they show up strong in the beginning, and then they are not there in the end. And I can tell you from watching and observing how damaging and how abandoning that is, and how much of a bereft feeling that can leave behind for the person who is quite literally fighting for their life. Quite literally fighting for their life. And I understand that it is hard watching someone that you care about and love go through something so heavy, but to show up in the beginning, especially if you show up real hardcore and then not show up in the end, it's a lot. And there's one thing to be said for pacing yourself. There's one thing to be said for ebb and flow. Sometimes you can't always be there all of the time, and that's fine because of life. But it's a really dramatic feeling to have a lot of people show up in the beginning and damn near nobody show up in the end. So if you are going to be supporting someone who has cancer, be mindful of that. I do, as a caretaker and as a supporter, do what you need to do to take care of yourself, your mental, emotional, and physical health. But please remember that they're fighting for their life, and it's a lot to feel. It feels a lot like abandonment when you show up at the beginning and you're not there in the end. The other thing I noticed immediately about the way people treat cancer patients is the avoidance of heavy realities through ableism. There are so many people who do not want to confront the heaviness of cancer, because the fact of the matter is there are a lot of people who win their battles and they continue on with life in regards to cancer, and there's a lot of people who lose their battle and they lose their life with cancer, and it's a heavy thing to contemplate. In order to not contemplate that, there were a lot of people who will lean back into ableism and who will treat the cancer patient like inspiration corn, but substitute the C with the P. Okay. Oh my God, you're so brave. Oh my God, you're so strong. You're so special. I could never. You're just you've got this. There's a lot of different subtle ways that the ableism comes out. There's a lot of different subtle ways that they'll use it as this defense. You're such an inspiration. You inspire me so much. Meanwhile, this person threw up 3 or 4 times a day because of their medication. Meanwhile, they are going through the most excruciating pains in their joint. Meanwhile, the radiation feels like you're being microwaved from the inside out. Meanwhile, this is not a pleasant experience, and they would rather not be an inspiration. They would rather not have this, okay? If you were going to be dealing with someone who has cancer, it shows when you can't deal with the heaviness. And that's a wild thing for me to deal with, because even though it's really dealing with the fact that my favorite person had cancer, as hard as it was, it is not as hard as what she has to go through. So if she can show up, my logic is, if she can show up to her apartments, her apartments, but to her appointments, if she can go through these not okay treatments that make you feel the worst, like the worst you've ever felt, if she can face that every day, then I can face the heaviness I feel around having to watch her do it. And I'm not going to refer to her as this inspiration. This is a heartbreaking experience. I am going to acknowledge that she's a warrior, and that she's strong mentally, emotionally, even if she doesn't feel like it. I'm going to acknowledge that piece. But it was really interesting just watching people avoid the heaviness of what we're dealing with and then revert back to ableism in order to do so. So if you're going to be caring with someone or dealing with someone or loving on someone who has cancer, just please be aware of this, please. Speaking of emotions, let's talk about how cancer survivors are often made, and cancer patients are often made to hold space for other people's emotions around the fact that they have cancer. In the personal stories that I read, in the emails that I got, and in observing what was going on with my cousin, it was really wild for me how many people make cancer patients hold space for their emotions. There were the people who would completely avoid their emotions around cancer patients, and then there are the people who are going to make the cancer patient hold space for how they're sad about the fact that the cancer patient has cancer. Baby, witnessing that actually made me want to get violent. Witnessing people not being able to hold their own space for their emotions. This doesn't mean you're not allowed to share your emotions with your cancer patient friend, comrade. It doesn't mean you can't speak honestly and candidly about how you feel about their situation. But when you are sharing in a way that is dumping on them, when you are traumatizing them with the trauma you feel around the fact that they have cancer, when they have to deal with the trauma of cancer, of having cancer, that was insidious. And so many people did it. One of the things that I reassured my cousin that I was going to do, and I did it, was when she was diagnosed and I committed to coming out to Colorado to help care for her and support her. I reassured her that I had healers who were my peers, who were my elders. I had elders. I had a community of people that were going to take care of me while I took care of her. One of the things that I did continuously right when I got the diagnosis and this entire way through was process my emotions outside of her. I did not go to her initially and discuss my fears of her death. I didn't discuss that with her. I did not discuss the impact of losing her with her. I did not make her hold space for my own fears. I acknowledged that all of those existed, and I went to see the proper people in order to help me navigate that. And when she would default into big sister mode to try to hold space for my emotions, I didn't allow her to. and got quite mad when she did. I discussed my feelings with her. I shared my feelings with her. There's nothing wrong with sharing your feelings. There's nothing wrong with being real about your fears. It's another thing to dump it on them, to make them hold space in a way that is a detriment to them. And in addition to that, I also held space for her emotions. She's the one going through the thing. So my job when I am around her is to support her and to make her life as easy as possible so she can devote more energy into going against and fighting the thing. So many people make cancer patients and survivors hold the space for them, for their deep emotions, and it's selfish. Feel everything you feel, but process the deep things outside of them, and make sure you're also holding space for their emotions, and make sure when you share your feelings, it's not in a way that is destructive. Y'all be lying to cancer patients. Let's talk about it. And also I want to acknowledge that the heater came on because it's cold as all get out outside. It's acting like the winter that it is. So if you hear that whoosh 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 noise, that's what that is. Anyway, y'all be lying to cancer patients. This one's for the doctors. I don't know how many times my cousin had to find out the real deal about treatments from other cancer patients because the doctors be lying. Okay, y'all, like, this isn't gonna hurt. Yes it is. Yes it is. Yes it is. And I understand that you're trying to make this easier for the cancer patients, but don't lie. The radiation feels like being microwaved. Like, these things are not okay. All right. And I noticed that a lot. I noticed that y'all be lying to cancer patients. Okay. And also y'all be lying to cancer patients. You look so good for what's going on, baby. No, this person looks like they have cancer. All right. They don't look good. They look like they're sick. All right. It's okay if we admit that. It's okay if we admit that. No, they're not ugly. But it's okay to be like, hey, you're sick. It looks like what's going on. You're not ugly, but you're sick, babe. You look like you look like what you're going through. It's okay to admit that. It's okay to admit that. All right. It's okay. They know. And there's a way to deliver it without being a butthole about it. Okay. There's a way. I never looked at my cousin and was like, man, you're ugly as hell. I wasn't ever going to say that because she wasn't ugly to me. But I'm also not going to tell her she looks the healthiest she's ever looked, because she don't. She looks like she's sick. All right. So quit lying. From pain levels to what to expect when they're gonna go through treatment, to even how you feel. Like, it's okay. That goes back to that thing I was saying about your emotions. You don't gotta pretend like you're okay with everything going on. There's a way for you to communicate how you feel without dumping it and without making them feel worse. But the amount of tiny little lies, the amount of medium-sized lies y'all be telling the cancer patients is kind of wild to me. One of the other things that I noticed too about people who surround cancer patients and survivors is how many people walk into the situation without a lack of research. And I believe that this contributes to so much of everything that I have said previously. As soon as my cousin called me and told me that she had cancer and she explained what it was, I started researching. I fortunately already had research that I had done in years before, and I had information that I could stand on. But I immediately looked at it from a medical perspective. I researched it from a cancer patient's perspective, current cancer patients. I researched it from the cancer survivor perspective. I wanted to really see what she was up against and what I was up against, and so that I could better support her better, you know. And this also gave me energy, time, and space to process a lot of my emotions. It allowed me to anticipate certain things that I might feel. I researched other caretakers and people who supported people who had cancer. I really looked into these things, and I believe this helped me to really show up for her. And I'm sure that there's ways that I could have even shown up better, and I'm sure when I review this process, I will identify ways that I could have shown up better. But me doing this research also took a lot of pressure off of her. I wasn't asking a lot of questions. I just knew I was able to listen, and the few questions that I was able to ask weren't particularly invasive. So the lack of research that so many people do, and then they end up how that plays out a lot of times is they end up making the cancer patient educate them. And that is one thing that I did not want to do. I didn't want to put any undue stress. I wanted her to be able to share with me whatever she wanted to share with me. And I wanted her to be comfortable giving me whatever she wanted to give me, whatever insights she needed to give me about what she was going through, and also satisfy my curiosity so that I could support her better. And like I said, I really think that this lack of research could have really helped a lot of the issues that I've observed via not only eyesight in watching my cousin, witnessing her going through this process, but also through the emails and the stories that have been shared with me. So the point of this video was to not only vent my frustration and to share my observations, but to be some foundational ground. If you ever find yourself in a situation where you are supporting someone, a loved one, a friend, a village member with cancer, please remember some of these things. Please remember some of these things, because this can help us. It can make all the difference in helping us support this person in a way that helps them fight this. Please consider these things that I've said. Because when I tell you, there was some moments throughout this journey as a caretaker, I wanted to, there were days I would come home from some of our appointments and I would just need to sit in silence. I just needed to be like, if I move a muscle, I'm gonna want to get violent with so many people. It was wild watching how all of these things I spoke about take a toll on her. It was wild watching how all of these things, and I'm saying this too because I think y'all don't realize that how this hurts them, how this affects them. So, things to consider and things I learned for caring for someone who I absolutely adore and love as they beasted their battle with cancer. This year has shifted me. Being able to witness my cousin take on one of the gnarliest and most aggressive battles of her life and go pound for pound and toe to toe. Witnessing her put her everything into this fight in the name of her children, in the name of her mother, in the name of the community that she serves. This is a woman who's been a key activist and organizer in the state of Colorado to the point that she has affected laws. She is good at what she does, and her life's work, her life's sweat and blood has benefited hundreds, if not thousands, I know for a guarantee, thousands to millions of people in this state. And to watch her beast this and not even have all of the support that she needed has been one of the greatest honors of my life. To be able to hold her weapons, to be able to just support her back, to be able to be there for her, to be able to witness her glory. She fought tooth and nail, and she's still fighting. Yes, she is cancer free, but the recovery is just as brutal as the fight. So I'm thankful to be able to not only have supported her through this part of the journey, I'm thankful to support her in this next part of the journey, this follow-up part of the journey. And I'm grateful that I have learned what I have learned so that I could show up even better for not only people who have cancer, just people in general. And I'm grateful that I can share these learned experiences with you. And once again, to each and every one of you who have prayed for her, who have uplifted her, who have continued to send us both such good energy, I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I appreciate you so very much. That genuine love was felt, and it was so very helpful to both of us. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And that's that on that. If you made it to the end of this video, gold star for you, baby. Thank you, thank you, thank you for tuning in and listening to everything I had to say. This is a deeply personal and important video, and I'm thankful that I have the platform to be able to put it out here. I appreciate you for your love and support for this channel, for all of the content that I make, but especially for this deeply personal journey that I have gone on to support my cousin this last year. And now that we are on the other side of some things, now that we are on a different journey, I am so excited to focus a lot more energy on my life again, and just to continue to make the content, do the things that I was meant to do for you. So thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. Now, if you like what I'm doing and you like what you see, if you are feeling any of this, if you are feeling any of me, go ahead and hit that like button, baby. Hit that subscribe button, darling, and hit that notification bell so you can keep up with everything I'm putting down over here. And just in case no one has told you today, you are magnificent, you are beautiful, and you are so very divine. God, Goddess, Lawa, Orisha, ancestors, spirit guides, and spirit animal allies willing, I will see you in the next video. Until then, I love you. I live you. Thank you. Peace. Mwah.